Thank you all. Thank you all very much for your warm welcome, and thank you, Jim Hormel, for your very, very wonderful, to me, introduction. And thank you to the Human Rights Campaign for the honor of receiving this HRC Equality Award. It is a special honor for me to receive this recognition from HRC, and it is a personal joy for me to receive it from Ambassador Jim Hormel. Jim Hormel is a pillar of the San Francisco community, and I want to hear more from the San Franciscans and the Californians in the room. And Jim Hormel is a cornerstone of the GLBT movement. He is a great and generous philanthropist and respected leader in the business community. I was grateful to have him on my team as my co-chair on my first campaign for Congress. As Ambassador Luxembourg, the courage it took to put his name forth. Jim Hormel represented America with great dignity and distinction. Jim, it is an honor to call you Mr. Ambassador and a joy to call you friend. Where'd you go? Let me see if I can. Thank you as well to my friend Joe Solmanese for leading the way and defending the rights of the entire GLBT community. I will display this award with great pride so that everyone knows that HRC and each and every one of you has a friend in the Speaker's office. As I travel the country, people ask me, what is it like to be Speaker? Especially, what is it like to be the first woman Speaker of the House? Some of you have asked me that tonight. What is it like to be the Speaker of the House? Absolutely fabulous. Tonight, we join together in our nation's capital to celebrate the accomplishments and the courage of the Human Rights Campaign. More than 700,000 voices strong, HRC is the prime mover for GLBT rights across America and an inspiration to many millions more. When Jim Hormel and many other courageous Americans built the foundation of what would become HRC, our struggle for justice was in an earlier stage. But our cause for justice would not be denied. For being a powerful and positive counterbalance to the voices of hate and for being the hope and salvation for millions of Americans. Thank you, HRC. The video we just watched brings me back to my first day, my very first day in Congress. I was elected in a special election, so I was sworn in alone that day. And it reminds me to pause and celebrate the phenomenal progress we have made working together. As the video mentioned, I made my first speech on the House floor about AIDS, but this is how that came about. My campaign slogan, as my co-chair of my campaign, Jim Hormel, can tell you, was Nancy Pelosi, a voice that will be heard. So when I went to Congress and I was sworn in that day, people among my colleagues said to me, when you're sworn in, no matter what anybody says, don't say a word. Members don't want to hear from any new members. You'll gain a lot of points if you just don't say anything. And I thought, but I'm the voice that will be heard. How could it be? So in any event, after I get sworn in, fully prepared to remain silent, the Speaker, Jim Wright, says to me, and I know there are a lot of people from Texas here tonight. He says, will the newest member of Congress wish to address the House? So I said, oh, you know, of course it will be heard. And these same people were sitting there saying, short, 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 very short, don't say much. So because they confined my remarks, I could only say one thing. And after thanking my family and the constituents of San Francisco who sent me there, I said, I told my constituents when I came here, I would tell them that I came to fight against AIDS. So these same people then said to me after, why did you mention AIDS? It's the first thing these people are learning about you. And your first comments to the Congress of the United States, and you talked about AIDS. Why did you say that? I said that because I came to Congress to fight against AIDS. We were suffering a great deal in our community at that time. A doctor speaking about his experience in those difficult days said recently, in the first years of AIDS, I imagine we felt like the folks on the rooftops during Katrina, waiting for help. Because San Francisco had suffered the most, we learned a great deal about how to respond and develop community-based solutions that were a model for America and eventually for the world. Housing opportunities with people with AIDS, called HAPWA, the Ryan White Care Act, ending discrimination against people with AIDS, building our AIDS memorial, the first in the country. We're inspired by San Franciscans, and today these initiatives provide health care and support for hundreds of thousands of Americans with HIV and AIDS. And because San Francisco was early to realize that our approach must also be international, with the help of Dave Obey, we secured the first funding for global HIV/AIDS. Working with so many of you, the helping hand from Bono, this fund has grown to nearly $6 billion a year. There is still a great deal more to be done, locally and globally. And as we strive to work in a bipartisan way to make things happen, we must also recognize the difference a Democratic Congress makes. In previous Congresses, we fought back cynical attempts to enshrine discrimination into the Constitution and defeated the federal marriage amendment. In a Democratic Congress, unlike previous Congresses, malicious measures intended to divide the American people or to undermine the rights of the GLBT community are off the table. Instead, our Democratic Congress has a positive agenda. As Speaker, I proudly reintroduced the Early Treatment for HIV Act this year to extend Medicaid to uninsured Americans living with HIV. We must pass this bill, and we will. This past May, the House passed Chairman John Conyers' legislation protecting Americans against violence based on sexual orientation, race, religion, gender, national origin, disability, or gender identity. Some doubted that we could pass a hate crimes bill if it included protections for transgender Americans. Some told us to wait and not include that in the bill. But Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin would not be denied. Representatives Baldwin and Barney Frank fought for a fully inclusive bill. And as Speaker of the House, I was proud to call the shot. We're moving forward now and with the full bill, including gender identity. And with 237 votes, the House passed the hate crimes legislation. Just last week, the Senate followed suit with a strong bipartisan vote. And thank you, Harry Reid, for your leadership in that regard. After 15 long years, we will, for the first time, put this bipartisan hate crimes legislation on the President's desk. I urge the President to sign this bipartisan bill to protect all Americans. Violence fueled by bigotry has no place in our America. I thank Joe Solmonese for recognizing that accomplishment in Congress, and I want to join him in thanking a courageous leader who turned her family's grief into action and helped change the debate in America on hate crimes. She traveled the country, she lobbied the Congress, and she won the day. Judy Shepard, the mother of Matthew Shepard. I wish that all of you could have been in the House Democratic Caucus the morning that Judy Shepard came to speak to us. She spoke from the heart, but with great intellect about what this means for America. She brought with her the police chief from their region, and he spoke on how her experience changed his thinking, and he came to speak in favor of the hate crimes bill. And Barney Frank got up in front of the caucus and he said, "Today I am the chairman of the Financial Services Committee. Captains of industry, all kinds of important people want to meet with me. But I wasn't always the chairman of the Financial Services Committee. I was once a teenager, and that's why this hate crimes bill means so much to me." It was a very special, transforming day for us, and I'll never forget how Judy changed the hearts and the minds of the people in that room, and therefore the law of the land, when she passed this hate crimes bill. Thank you again, Judy. As members and supporters of HRC, you understand that it is truly historic that the House of Representatives will soon pass the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, ENDA. This tremendous progress we have achieved would not have been possible without the great leadership of Chairman Barney Frank of Massachusetts. With his brilliance, his wit, and his legislative skill, he persevered in bringing ENDA before the Congress. For years and years and years, he worked on this. America is a great and wealthy country, but we cannot afford to squander the talents of any of our citizens, nor should we. We all benefit if everyone gets a chance to work hard and to support their families. Yet today, in more than 30 states, you can be fired for being gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. In 30 states. That is wrong. Federal action is needed, and it is long overdue. I strongly believe in my heart and in my head that transgender individuals deserve the same rights and the same protections as any other Americans. And will work to see that ENDA also protects their rights. In a few weeks, the House will be voting on ENDA, and those who oppose us will be lobbying on the Hill and working to defeat any version of ENDA. Realize what this fight is, any version of ENDA. We cannot allow the forces of discrimination to succeed. Barney Frank, Tammy Baldwin, and others will do the inside maneuvering, but we cannot succeed without the outside mobilization. Working together, we will mobilize, we will educate, and we will persuade. Every one of us must take personal responsibility for passing the strongest possible ENDA, one member at a time. History teaches us that progress on civil rights is never easy, but justice is inevitable. It's just about time. Many saw the 1957 Civil Rights Act as not having done enough, but it helped lay the groundwork for a great Civil Rights Act that soon followed. On the occasion of receiving this HRC Equality Award, I give you my commitment as the Speaker of the House that I will fight for the most inclusive ENDA possible. Only then will our nation's laws be in harmony with our nation's ideals. I accept this honor on behalf of the many members of Congress who stand with HRC, not because it's necessarily popular in their districts, but because it is right. I also accept this award on behalf of my constituents in San Francisco, and our Chairman Wiener is here from our Central Committee on the board of HRC. People always say to me, it's easy for you to take these votes and be out front on these issues because San Francisco is so tolerant. Tolerant? It's not about tolerance. It's about respect. It's about the respect we have for each other. It's about the pride we take in our community. That sentiment is now spreading across America and is happening thanks to the work of the Human Rights Campaign and each and every one of you. Thank you, Joe Salmonese. Thank you, Ambassador Hormel. Thank you, HRC. May God bless you. God has certainly blessed America with the work of the Human Rights Campaign. Thank you all very much.